Many different backgrounds and languages and cultures in this room from all over the world, we can peacefully have a conversation while all that's protected simultaneously. While we can agree to disagree, we can have this conversation. What you said is nowhere in the founding documents at all. What you said is what some of the prejudices that was in the people of the founding fathers. This is called a logical fallacy. Tell me why the document is not correct. Don't tell me the sins of the authors. It's a big difference.
You mentioned that you don't try to promote people.
Oh boy, you've been through this. I do not promote violence.
You don't wish misery upon anyone, but you're wearing an ice hat.
Let's talk about ICE. Let's talk, sure.
Yeah.
What about ICE don't you like?
A violent organization.
Not
right?
violent.
Yes, they're violent.
How?
I'll tell you why I like ICE. They're the #1 agency that goes after child sex traffickers. #1. They arrest tens of thousands of child sex traffickers every single year. They also go after MS-13.
Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So if you are new here, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. So today I'm reacting to Charlie best radical lefty takedown. So guys, please let's go right into this video. Poof.
So I'm a conservative. One thing I have a hard time rationalizing to my liberal friends, and conservatives on TV and politicians have a hard time articulating, is intelligent reasons why the wall must be built. I am curious your thoughts on that.
Three quick things. Number one, I'm going to say some facts. I'm going to talk about fairness. Then I'm going to talk about sovereignty. Some facts. An illegal alien in the state of Arizona is twice as likely to commit a crime versus a natural-born citizen. Fact. 90% of all heroin and fentanyl come across the southern border. Fact. Over 10,000 kids are illegally sex trafficked across the southern border every single year. Fact. We have 56,000 illegal immigrants in our federal prison system. Fact. And countless in our state penitentiary system. $135 billion a year. That's how much is the financial burden on U.S. taxpayers every single year that illegal immigrants drain from our system. Fact. You put all that together, that's a pretty compelling argument that we have some problems with our southern border. Those are some facts. Number two is fairness. As Candace said, it is not fair to the people in Bolivia. It's not fair to the people in Bangladesh. It is not fair to the people in Belarus that had to wait in line, fill out an application form, not commit a crime, and then wait a decade to come into this country to maybe have a chance to become an American. It is not fair to them. Number three is sovereignty. Why do walls matter? Why do borders matter? Borders are a physical representation of when good ideas begin and bad ideas start. If you don't believe me, just ask East and West Germany, or at North or South Korea. If you believe in open borders, you do not believe in the physical delineation of where good ideas start and bad ideas start. The wall right now is not only important for facts, not only important the facts I mentioned, the fairness, but also the sovereignty. We are not Mexico. We have a unique culture. We have a unique identity. The Mexican culture is something that should be appreciated and understood, but our culture is much different and has outpaced them over the last 50 years. And to say that we should have open borders and we should have some sort of transferable citizenship cheapens the idea of the American identity and culture of the people that have waited in line and the tens of millions of immigrants that had to fly halfway across the world to come into this country. So those are the three reasons I would give: to build the wall, build it quickly, build it high, build it wide, with a big door so everyone can come in legally. Thank you.
You believe that the Constitution is the best document in political history?
Greatest political document ever.
There you go.
Thank you.
I want to know, how is it possible to believe that when it's based on racist principles? They describe indigenous peoples as merciless Indian savages. They don't describe African Americans as full people, and they don't even recognize other people of color and other minorities that we see today. So I just want to know how you think it's possible to believe that's such a great document we're
Thank
founded
you for the
upon.
question. Where does it say that in the document? No, keep her. Where does it say that in the document?
I'm sorry, what?
Where does it say what you said in the actual document?
I'm not entirely sure,
It
but
doesn't.
no.
Instead, do you know what it does say? Provide for the general welfare of all people. I prefaced when I talked about the United States Constitution, you know what's amazing is the amendment process. I love the story of Thaddeus Stevens, who fought like hell to make sure that blacks could have the right to vote. I love the story of the Republican Party, which was founded in 1860 as an anti-slavery party. I hate what happened to indigenous people under Democrat presidents. I do. Here's why it's the greatest document ever. Is because in a land with so many different backgrounds and languages and cultures in this room, from all over the world, we can peacefully have a conversation while all that's protected simultaneously. While we can agree to disagree, we can have this conversation. What you said is nowhere in the founding documents at all. What you said is what some of the prejudices that was in the people of the founding fathers. This is called a logical fallacy. Tell me why the document is not correct. Don't tell me the sins of the authors. It's a big difference.
You mentioned that you don't try to promote people or
Oh boy,
that you
you've been through this.
violence.
I do not promote
You
violence.
don't wish misery upon anyone, but you're wearing an ice hat.
Let's talk about ICE. Let's talk, sure.
Yeah.
What about ICE don't you like?
A violent organization.
Not
right?
violent.
Yes, they're violent. How?
I'll tell you why I like ICE. They're the #1 agency that goes after child sex traffickers. #1. They arrest tens of thousands of child sex traffickers every single year. They also go after MS-13. They also go after terrorists that are here in the country domestically. ICE was formed after 9/11 to go after international threats that are here domestically. That's why they're called Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement. They get such a bad rap, and you actually meet with the agents, and you see what they do every single day. It's pretty extraordinary work. Now, they do go after people that have visa overstays. It has nothing to do with race. An illegal immigrant is not a race. Most of the visa overstays are people from Hungary or from Indonesia or from Japan. If you are here illegally, you should not be here despite your race. The immigration debate is demagogued by politicians by being a racial issue. It has nothing to do with race and everything to do with the rule of law.
You talked, Charlie, I think it was you that talked a bit about like the Mueller investigation.
Yeah.
I know you said it was like a waste of time, that kind of thing. I don't know, what makes you think it was a waste of time? Because it was about 30 indictments, a couple convictions. What specifically about it was a waste of time to you?
Okay,
You know, criminals were exposed.
No heckling, no
By a court determined that criminals were
So,
exposed.
do you know what was the basis of the original Russia intelligence investigation in the FBI?
Right, so from what I understand, my understanding was that the investigation was opened up to basically understand all the different ways that the Russian Federation has colluded
What was
with
the
U.S.
piece of
elections.
intelligence that began the surveillance or the spying, whatever you want to call it, of the Trump campaign?
No idea.
Okay,
but
so
yeah.
it was a dossier
Right.
that was funded by the Democrat National Committee and the Hillary Clinton campaign, constructed by an opposition research firm called Fusion GPS. The dossier has been disproven and debunked to have so many inaccuracies and misleading facts and information. So that was put in front of a FISA judge. For those of you that don't know what a FISA judge is, that is giving permission for the United States government to surveil its own citizens. Now, there were 3 members of the Trump campaign that were former individuals at highest level of national security: Chris Christie, Rudy Giuliani, and Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. If the FBI was actually worried about Russia interference, they could have approached Chris Christie, who was a U.S. attorney, Mayor Giuliani, who was a former U.S. attorney, or Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, who held the highest level of security clearance at the highest level of the military, saying, hey, we're worried about Russia interference in your election, we're worried about this Manafort guy. They never did that. Instead, they illegally surveilled and spied on the Trump campaign. So fast forward to April or May, where the actual Mueller investigation began. Andrew McCabe said it himself that his own internal workings towards getting eventual triggering of the Mueller investigation was based on the phony intelligence of Fusion GPS and based on this investigation. But you said 30 indictments. Let's break this down. Who is indicted? Paul Manafort is going to prison, not for Russia interference, my friend.
For tax fraud, yeah.
Right, tax fraud, wire fraud, and unregistered foreign lobbying for Ukraine, not even for Russia. Lieutenant.
That's kind of Ukraine and Russia there. There's a little bit of a
War?
Well, there's a war. The war, yes, but like, keep in mind, yeah. I mean, saying that
No,
it's
that's
not as a fair point. I think it's not to say that there isn't a connection.
I can see where you're coming from there.
Yeah.
I understand. There's a lot of cross nationality
That
there.
is really tough to.
Sure.
Yeah. there could be a
So
connection.
the second major indictment was George Papadopoulos,
Yep.
who lied under oath to the FBI. No Russian interference, no Russian connection. Okay. Also, the third, which is the most famous, is Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, who again is indicted for a process crime, and was indicted not for Russian collusion, but for not filling out his paperwork properly for the incoming president to become National Security Council advisor for unregistered foreign lobbying for the Turkish government. Okay? The fourth person who was indicted was the former attorney to the president, Michael Cohen, who we have on the record now lying at least 15 times to Congress under 2 separate testimonies. Now, he was not indicted for Russian collusion. He was not indicted for interference. He was indicted for taxi medallion fraud, tax fraud, and wire fraud. Now, those are the 4 Americans so far. There might be more. There probably won't be. Actually, the 5th. I'm sorry. There was a 5th. Obama's White House counsel was just recently indicted.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I'm sorry. In the last week,
Yep.
for unregistered foreign lobbying, taking a $4 million wire transfer that was laundered through Cyprus, for, again, with Paul Manafort essentially being the lawyer on file. His criminal trial is still pending. He has pleaded innocent. Those are the 5 major Americans. Now, you said 30 indictments. The rest of them are foreign Russian citizens that we could indict the entire country of Russia for essentially colluding against America, because every day the whole country is registered as a foreign adversary. So we just picked 25 people that were running Russian troll farms. Now, the 5 things that I told you could have been done with just telling the Department of Justice to do their job. Bob Mueller was not needed for $30 million creating a public assassination campaign against a president that was originally based on faulty intelligence. And so, I think you and I can agree that doing that for 2 years and exacerbating this Russian narrative where Congressman Adam Schiff, chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, now said there has yet to be released evidence that is material of Russian collusion against the Trump campaign. We're still waiting for what that is. There are 1,800 articles amongst the 4 major newspapers in America, USA Today, the Washington Post, the LA Times, and the New York Times. 1,800 articles alluding or directly connecting Donald Trump and the Trump campaign to committing treason with a foreign adversary. You got to ask the question, was it really necessary to hijack our whole public narrative for 2 years using $30 million of U.S. taxpayer to go after 5 people, none of which committed Russian collusion at all, instead had their own personal crimes that they committed? I believe it was a public assassination campaign that we paid for that now Donald Trump has rose up against and has triumphed over.
So how many genders are there?
There's so many. The way that the
So many. So many's not a number.
chromosomes actually break down with intersex genders and the way that it actually happens, that is the starting point that you learn in like 5th grade. But when you actually do
Like
real
5th grade.
experiments, you learn that the way that data breaks down when it comes to
Can you give me a number or not?
genders.
Number?
A number? You have 2. That's 6th grade science. When you move on, there are hundreds of different categories.
So what you learn in 6th grade becomes less true as you get older?
That's
Like gravity
that
becomes less true?
That is a basic building
Newton's
block
third
that
law
children
becomes less
learn
true?
in order to understand the concept of gender. When you break it down into actual
Gender and
experiments when it
sex are
comes to
directly
chromosome and sex, it breaks down into hundreds of different categories that actually differentiate between just 2 genders. What you're saying is there are facts and you don't believe in there being opinions.
Yes, I am
and
saying that there are
This
facts.
is a scientific fact that if you talk to any biologist, you will learn.
So in biology, they teach you
are
that there's
completely
XX
just
and
using
XY
a historical,
chromosomes.
not
So give me a
scientific.
number of how many genders there are. That we
Hundreds, many. It breaks
unlimited,
down,
right?
It breaks
So
down in
it's
so many
anything
more
you want to be,
categories.
anything you feel.
No, it's what scientists determine given specific
XX,
categories.
XY.
Why do you need a number if you're
Bingo.
already given-
Why do you need a number? That's a great
You
question.
literally have no idea how it works. You're
Because
using
then you could
6th grade
self-identify to be anything you want at any time.
Literally, biologists are saying that this is the way the gender actually breaks down.
so you would accept the argument that you can self-identify to be anything at any time.
Yes, because literally
Okay.
biologists have
That's
told me
what's
that
wrong
gender-
with not having a number.
There are hundreds of different numbers.
But again, you don't have a number. I just want to recap. that.
Hundreds. There's hundreds of different
So where would
ways
you
that
put
data breaks down.
Okay, so the data breaks down in 2 very simple predominant categories, XX and XY. And that's
No.
no? Oh, so there's not male and female.
I think what happens is you don't understand science and scientific
Oh, I don't.
backing.
Oh, okay. So
and you just want to
so I
put
can
forth this
so
like
I
fascist
so
simple.
oh, fascist simple.
ideology
Here we go. That's interesting.
that will keep you.
So what is fascist about saying there's two genders?
Is you're just being completely not faithful to what actual science is telling you.
No,
because you
science
wanna
is
put
quite
forward
simple. That
your
there's
own
a
oppressive narrative
Oh,
about
oppressive.
how you think
So
gender
and now
should
I'm
be
oppressive.
believed.
How am I being oppressive? This is the truth comes out eventually. So how am I being
Yeah,
oppressive?
you're being oppressive.
How am I being oppressive?
You're being oppressive by denying people the ability to have.
How have I
their
denied
own
anyone
identity.
anything? Okay, denying people identity. People can identify however they want. I'm only going to use two genders.
It's absolutely vital we expose the far left in our institutions and continue our work on campus and across the UK and in defending both free speech and conservative values. So please help us by clicking the subscribe button. Thank you.
Woo! Charlie, shout out to Charlie, like, cause he's good. His public speaking is very, very good. A good public speaker. Yeah. So this video, like, oh wow, like, I really, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed every bit about this video because when Charlie was saying about immigrants, like you coming to someone's country without the right document or the right thing, you just come, stay there and start committing nuisance there. That he want the government to deport them. That the government system should be working well to be able to screwed out, like look at people that are coming in illegally and people that are coming in right. So you're able to differentiate them, then take the illegal, deport to the country, then the one that are okay to remain in the country. So I feel that to me, traveling, if you are going to any, you are traveling, you make sure your document is right to not to face deport. You understand? And two, for this X chromosome and Y chromosome, we just have just two. Because some people, I've heard of a case when they say that someone has XX chromosome and XY chromosome. So, and that is rare. Like, there are not much people that have that kind of thing. You understand? So I feel that you just have to, since you want to be, if you are a male and you want to be addressed a female, I just know that there are only two sex gender in this world, either a male or a female. You just have to know who you want to address, because the guy was saying that hundreds of thousands of says this. No, they're just male and female, that's all. Even in animals, they're male and female too. So I just think that we should all understand the meaning of this sex demarcation, like sex thing. Even if you want to change yourself to a man or a female, you are also XX chromosome or XY chromosome. So guys, please comment below on any video you want us to react to. Comment below, like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ngal Fashion Store. Fashion makes sense.